Well, hello everyone. How are you? It's Joni here from Joni's Journals. Excuse my squeaky chair because with my new setup, I have to check that my camera is in the right place and then sit down. Hello, how are you? Welcome back. If you remember the other day, I did a video using the new specimen kit from Tracy Fox Creative, and we sat and we made some specimens. And let me just open this up. We made some specimen slides, and then I showed you how we were going to store them, and they would be in this little case here, which has a little pocket on the front and has our ribbon decoration on the back. Now, what I also promised you was that I would be coming back to show you how to do this for a Christmas make. So, while I've been gone the past few days, I have created a Christmas folder. Now this one's a little bit different. You can see that it has its ribbon tie on the top instead of around the bottom, looping through the top. And we're going to make one of these today. This one I'm going to put to the side for now because I also want to show you the other one that I made. Now this is more of a little fun birthday style. You could make it whatever style you want, but I just thought that I would show you another option. And the reason that I'm showing you this is because once I open it up, I did, again, just tie this one through the top, and I used some of my cotton ribbon. And you pull it apart like so, okay? But I have created some little tags. Now I'm wondering if I can get the, yes, kind of, maybe. I made some little tags to fit in the pockets, and this one will probably be a birthday gift for someone, most likely my daughter. I'm just gonna tie it back together again. You can see, you can just tie it back and you loop it around. In conjunction with this one, I made a little birthday card to match. Okay, now this is a relatively simple card, but the decorations are done in exactly the same way that I decorated the outside of the little folio. So we're going to put that one aside. And again, this is the Christmas one. Now I have decorated it on the front and on the back. I left off this little pocket that we had here on this one because I just didn't feel that I needed it. I wasn't going to create any Christmas ephemera that was going to be this tiny. So what we're going to do today, I have the original measurements for the specimen folio, which I'll give you at the end. The Christmas folio measurements differ slightly. We are still using envelopes, okay, which is what is tied up in the middle of this one. Maybe I should just open this one up. Let's just untie this one too. Okay, I tie a great bow. Come on. All right, there, I think we got it. Okay, and let me just untie this. For this one, I used some plain cotton ribbon, Christmas ribbon that I'm pretty sure I got it at Michael's. Could have been Hobby Lobby, and of course, why is it not untying? It's not untying because I want it to. Come on. All right, let's just try. Oh, there we go. Okay, you can see this one uses the white envelopes as well as the other one did. Okay, in this one, in the holiday ones, I kind of, and even in the birthday one, I only use 5 envelopes. But we have our envelopes here, and I'm going to show you how I did that. And then we also have our little Tim Holtz Christmas paper and our little backers, okay? I'm going to show you how to put all of that together. Oh, and I did create a Christmas pocket for this one, but like I said, I don't really have any tiny ephemera, so I'm probably not going to use the pocket on this one. In fact, I know I'm not going to use the pocket on this one. although you could. That's why I was showing it to you, because we're going to decorate these. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to start with 5 number 8 envelopes. These are made by Mead, and we've had them floating around. More than likely, I probably stole them from my husband. And you're going to trim them down. The envelopes are 4 3/4 high, and the standard size is 3.5 wide. And once you trim them down to the right height, you're just going to simply glue them together. You're going to glue them closed and then glue them together. And let me just get my glue gob. You will have to excuse my inky fingers because I have been playing this morning, gathering some stuff together for another make that I want to do with you. And so it involved ink and paint and yeah. Okay, so you just glue that flap down, okay? Now, I don't like the ugly side of my envelopes to show, so you can see that on both sides I have the pretty side. Okay, so what you're going to do, and that's what I've done for these 3, is you're just going to run a line of glue down the center of your envelope like so, a very thin line. And because I don't want the ugly to show, I'm going to have the ugly pointing up at this point. Okay, and I'm just going to glue this down. I'm going to stand it up, make sure it's flat on the bottom, make sure it's flat on the side, so that we know that all of our envelopes are pretty much stacked straight. Now, I have a feeling that because these are inexpensive envelopes, they're not really all completely made the same. And then you're going to take and you're going to put glue down on the ugly side, and you're going to turn your ugly side down on your last envelope. Okay, so that's the way we do all 5 of our envelopes. And you can see we have the pretty side on the outside and the ugly sides in the middle. Okay, we're going to set all of this aside to dry for now. And then I'm going to show you what else we have. Okay, we're going to need 2 pretty pieces that are 5 1/4 high by 4 inches wide. So you need 2 of those. And then you're going to need the base of the folio, which is 5 1/2 inches high and 4 1/4 inches wide. Okay, let me just get a little comfortable here in my seat. Now, in order to, if you wanted to make turn this into a card base, what you're going to need is you're going to need a piece of paper that you cut to 5 3/4 high and then 9 inches wide. And you're going to fold it in half so that you end up with a card base that is 5 3/4 high by 4 1/2 inches wide. And this will set right in the center, like so. This piece would go right in the center. I didn't round the corners on the card. Excuse me. I didn't round the corners on the card because the card is straight, okay? And then, of course, this fits right in the center of that. Okay, so that's how you would make a card. All right, now I didn't make any tags yet. I'm probably going to decorate with you and go back and make some tags and then come back. I thought I had everything finished for this make this morning. And when I sat down to do it about, I want to say 2 hours ago, I realized that, oops, I didn't get everything together. Now, in order to decorate my Christmas folio, I, of course, pulled out my Tim Holtz Christmas stash. And that stash is actually growing because I want to attend that Simon Says Stamp Tim Holtz decorating class. So I bought extras of everything I already had multiples of. So what we have, we're just going to do a quick little decoration on this. And what I pulled out is one of my little Tim Holtz paper dolls, and you can see I've inked her, colored her using my Crayola markers. I have 2 little pieces of ephemera, the numbers 2 and 5 for 25, and some extra little pieces of stuff that we're also going to use. Okay, now the reason we're going to decorate these first is because once we put it together, we want to be able to assemble it all, and we want to make sure we have everything in the right place for when we add our ribbon. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with this little piece. Now, I'm sure that if you are of my age range, maybe a little bit younger, Miracle on 34th Street, I did pull out this piece here, which is North 34th Street, and I thought that would kind of be appropriate for using our little girl paper doll. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to simply add this piece here up at the top, and I'm going to kind of put it off center. You'll have to excuse the boys. I think my neighbor across the street is doing something to either his car or his boat. Yes, he owns a boat. And he lets his dog wander the street. I don't do that with my boys, but when his dog is out, my dogs do get a little bit excited. So I have these couple of the little pieces of holly leaves, and I'm going to lay this one down. Actually, I'm going to lay this one down first. No, I think I'm going to put the big one down first. And I'm just going to hang it so that it's covering the 34th Street, but that's okay. And we're just going to glue it down. Okay, and you can see I've chosen to ink in black for this particular folio because of the fact that the numbers that I chose to use for this one, you can see on this one the numbers 2 and 5 are red. The numbers on this one are black. And so I kind of wanted to emphasize the black on it and kind of make it kind of milled together. So there we go. We're just going to put that little piece down. And then before we add this piece, I want to put this little, I guess, sprig of holly or holly decoration across the bottom here like so. I do want to measure it out because I want to make sure that my little girl here is going to fall into the right area, and she is. So I'm going to pull this down here just a little bit. Or do I want to do it this way? Actually, I think I'll put that one on after I add this little sprig of holly here. And I'm hoping that this actually is holly. Is it mistletoe? I don't really know. If one of you are sure of that, then you can let me know. And yeah, we can have it all correct. So I'm going to take this little piece here, and I'm going to kind of make it a part of the piece above by just laying it over. So it looks like one giant piece of holly. I'm going to keep calling it holly. And then I'm going to add this little piece finally down here on the bottom, like so, leaving enough room for my little girl and also for our numbers 2 and 5. Now you might notice that the little girl and the numbers both are not as shiny as they would be because they are of that shinier material that Tim uses on some of his elements. And that is because I learned, again, from Lindy at Pink Whisper Designs, and I did mention her name once before when I was using my Tim Holtz paper dolls. Oops. Oh, see, leave it to me. Okay, let's wipe that glue off of there. I'm going to center this little one. It says special delivery just down here. When I was putting all these decorations together, I said, wow, that's a lot of holly going on. We got to break it up somehow. And so I decided to add the little special delivery. Okay, and then we're going to glue our little girl. We're going to lay her here because I want to kind of make everything sort of fit towards the middle. And I want to make sure how far over I can go with my numbers. So I'm going to put my 5 there. And I'm going to grab the number 2, which is a little bit slippery. And we're going to put that there. Okay. So you can see everything kind of overlaps, but it kind of also brings everything together, I feel. So we're going to add our number 2 first. We're going to add our number 5 first. I think we should work from the bottom up in this case. But yeah, as I was saying, if you go over if you want to color your paper dolls and some of your other elements, I use my Crayola markers, and I think that might be what she used as well. But if you color over them, it kind of takes the shine down a little bit. So yeah, that's a trick to do instead of using collage medium, which I also use, but it's a little bit easier with the Crayola markers. And in fact, I'll show you the one that I've been using when I have elements that I don't really want to add color to, but I want to take the shine off of. Yeah, let me glue down the number 2 first and get that into place. And I kind of just want to center the 5 and the 2 together. It's a little bit difficult because they are, after all, numbers, and so I'm just trying to make sure they're straight. Okay, so we have our number 2 and our number 5, and then we're going to glue our little girl in here as well. Okay, can you tell I already laid this all out in my head so that you didn't have to see me struggle with what goes where, as I usually do? And then we're just going to put her here, like so. And she's sort of standing in front of the little holly. We could pretend that it's a Christmas tree. And then I have this little seal. It says December 25. And I just thought I would put it on the end here to kind of break up the 2 and the 5. But I don't know that I really want it right now. Oh, I could put it up here. I think that's what I'm going to do with it. I'm just going to put it over there. I didn't want to put red on red because it doesn't really show very well. And red on red sometimes clashes. So we'll just add it up there like so. Okay. This is the Crayola marker that I'm using. It's the Colors of the World. My daughter and I bought 2 sets of these for skin tones. And it has a wide variety of skin tones. But this one is almost a white, and so I color over the letters, colored over the numbers rather, using this, and you can see it doesn't really add any color, but it kind of takes that shine down. Okay, so now we have the front finished, and then the back, I just want to simply put this little plaque on it. It says A Joyful Christmas. And I'm just going to kind of center it on the back here, but bring it down a little from the top because we do want to add our little grommet in there, or our eyelet, whichever you prefer to call it. So I want to leave enough room for that. Okay. So I'm just going to add some glue here, like so. And I'm going to center it from side to side as best as I can. Okay. And make sure it's straight, of course. But I'm going to bring it closer to the bottom because I'm leaving room for my little eyelet up here. Okay? So now we have that all set to go. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we are going to take our folio, our folder bases, and we're just going to turn it over onto the back. And I'm going to grab my ruler. And I know that I want to make my hole in the center. Now this being 4 1/4 wide, 2 1/8 is half of 4 1/4. So I'm going to grab my pencil, which of course should have already been out on my desk, and it's not. And I'm going to make a mark at 2 1/8, like so. And then I know that I want to bring it down 1/4 inch from the top. So I'm going to measure down 1/4 inch from the top. And I am going to make a mark like so. Okay. And so I have that little spot right in there in the center. You can see it. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, on the other card rather. I'm going to come down 1/4 inch and I'm going to make a little line. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to measure over 2 1/8 so that I know I have the center again, like so. Okay, and then just to make sure everything is straight, I'm going to take my little T ruler here, and I'm just going to make a little mark here at 2 1/8, and a little mark here at 1/4 of an inch, like so. Okay, and this way I know exactly where I should punch my hole. I'm going to do it very quickly on the other side as well. I'm going to follow my little mark there. I'm going to make a mark this way, and then I'm going to go across the other way. Okay, so that I have it lined up, and I have that little X in order to, my straight, and there we go. And I'm just going to make a little line this way, and then I have my X marks the spot, so I know where to punch my hole. But I'm not going to punch my hole yet. What we're going to do is we are going to add our decorated pieces onto the front of our base, which you can see they fit nicely centered with a little border around them. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to add some glue all around the edges, and then we're just going to do a crisscross across the middle, like so. Okay, and then we have that. Okay, we can make sure it's relatively straight. So that's the front done, and then we're going to do the same for the back. And you can see I inked all of the craft stock. I did go around and ink it in Vintage Photo, but like I said, I wanted to incorporate, a little bit of the black there. That's a lot of glue. And so I just did a little bit of black towards the center of the tops and bottoms and towards both sides. And then we're going to glue this piece down here, like so. Make sure it's kind of centered. Make sure it's straight. Okay. And there we have that. And then we're just going to grab our crocodile, like so. And I'm going to punch a hole. I'm going to use the bigger of the two, which has some stuff stuck in it, I think. No. Or maybe. I don't know. Let's see. And I'm just going to take, yeah, I do have some stuff stuck in there. Wouldn't it be so? Okay, there we go. It's out. And then I'm just going to take my crocodile, and I'm going to line up that little circle with that X, and I'm going to punch. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to line up in there, and I'm going to punch. And now we have both of our holes made. Okay? So there you go. We missed out. We didn't get anything there that we shouldn't get. And I'm just going to grab some eyelets. And I think I'm going to grab the white ones, which I don't normally go for. But for Christmas, I think they're kind of cute. White for the, white for the snow. Make sure I have two white ones. On the other one that I did, the other Christmas one that I did, I actually grabbed a gray and a white. But I won't tell anybody if you won't. And then we're going to add our grommets, like so. And there we go. These are the We Are Memory Keepers grommets. And let me tell you, you know how good I am at getting grommets in perfectly every single time. These and the Fiskars ones that I buy at Michael's, they just do the job. And they very rarely get squished or out of shape. So we have our grommets. Now we are going to finally add our envelopes, okay? Now what I do on the back is I like the envelopes to kind of stay put. So what I'll do is I'll put a line of glue down the center and across the bottom, okay? So we're going to do that. I'm going to put a line of glue down the center and across the bottom, okay? And we're going to lay it down. And we're going to center these again on our card, Alrighty. I'm going to make sure they're straight. I'm going to bring them down almost to the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. They're just like barely touching the bottom. And of course, they appear to be a little crooked because that's just the way it goes for me. Okay, so we have it down. Now, in order to add our front on, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to put a line of glue down the center. And we're going to put a line of glue across the bottom. Okay. And then we're just going to lay our other piece on top. And we're going to line them up. And we're going to make sure, you can see we got our holes exactly in the same space. You can see straight through them. So we're going to make sure it's straight from side to side, top to bottom. And then we're just going to pull it apart and we have our little folio. Okay. Now in order to tie it closed, what I'll do is I will just take a piece of my ribbon, which celebrated, I believe, is Michael's. And I'm going to measure it across the base of my, what do you call it? My little mat here. And I'm going to trim it off. And then I'm just going to angle my corners that way. And I'm going to go this way. And tuck my ribbon into my folio. Okay? Now what I also want to show you how to do, you see you can just put it through the front and then slide it through the back. And then you can tie it in whatever way you want. All right, I'm just going to do a little bow like this and let it drape down in the front. And there you go. You have your little Christmas folio. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and I am going to grab the things that I need to make a tag. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how quickly we can do that as well. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, friends, we are back and we are going to make some quick little tags to go along with our little folio that we created, okay? The tags are very simple. What you're going to need, and if you strategically cut your paper, if you use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, if you cut it strategically, you can actually get 6 tags out of 1 sheet of cardstock. Now, you could just use cardstock. I like the layered look. So what you'll need for your basic tag, if you just want to make it out of cardstock, like I said, is you're going to need a piece that's 4 3/4 inches high and 2.5 inches wide. Now, for your decor, your little decorating piece here, I'll show you this one because I've added the ribbon to it already. For the decor, you're going to need a piece that is 4 inches high and 2 1/4 inches wide. So it gives you that layered look and you still have the look of the cardstock behind. I stayed with the craft stock base because that was the base that we used for our folio. Very simple. I take an old, in this case, this is a merchandise return card from Old Navy and the Gap. And I'll cut the corners off of mine depending on what the corner of what I want the corner of my tag to look like. So this one is a little bit steeper. This one's a little bit shallower. And once you cut that card, you could use a piece of cardstock if you don't have any of these plastic cards laying around. Take it and you line it up with your piece of cardstock. And very simply, of course, I put my scissor away. You just cut off your cardstock against this edge. And then the important part is you need to flip the card over, or your piece of cardstock or plastic or whatever you're using, and you just cut the other side as well. Okay, so now you have your tag, which I want to ink up a little. So I have my little mini dauber here because I have inked these edges again using vintage Folio, vintage photo and a little touch of black, okay? Now, once you have that piece, you can take your little decor piece and add some glue, okay? We're gonna go all the way around the edges, like so. And then just a little crisscross around the middle, just to keep it stuck down, okay? And then I'm gonna center it, whoop, onto my tag here. And I'm centering it between the end of the corner and the bottom of the tag. And I'm just gonna make sure it's straight. And there we go. Is it straight? Yep. Okay. And then I've been using my Tim Holtz Christmas 2024 sticker book. And I'm going to look inside. And I'm just going to pick. This comes in, you get red that looks like the Dymo labels. Or you get there's a little bit of decor in here. And then you get the traditional neutral tones. And I'm just going to look, and I'm going to pick this little one here that says Christmas Daydream. And I am just going to center it at the top of my tag. Now, of course, you don't have to use Tim Holtz anything. And you also don't have to add these little bits on. But it's just a little something, something. And I had my bone folder here. And I'm just going to make sure that that's laying flat on here. These are my worn wallpaper scraps, this paper that I'm using. I have 2 bags of it. I really honestly don't know if it's still available. It was put out in 2021. I had it in my stash. And so I just grabbed it out and I decided to use it for this and also for another craft, which I'm hoping to get done for you also this week, okay? So we have that. Then we're just going to take our hole punch. I'm going to use my crocodile because it's already on my table. And I'm going to simply center it on my tag, put a little hole in it. I have some ribbon here that I've cut out. I don't even know how long it is. Let's see. We'll get our little handy dandy ruler. And it's about 4 inches long. Okay. And I've trimmed the corners like so. Like I did for the ribbon for the folio. And it's getting very dark in here. I think we're going to have a storm, which is nothing unusual for us around here lately. That's Tropical Storm Chantal, which hit North Carolina and did some flooding damage there. I don't really want to talk about it. There's that horrible flooding in Texas right now that is just breaking my heart, especially as a mother and as a human being. Okay, and we're going to pull our little ribbon here, and I'm going to kind of line up my little pieces there. And then maybe we'll pull that one up a little bit more in the back, like so. And then I am just going to take my Tim Holtz tiny attacher, and I'm going to put a little staple in there. And there we have our little tag. And they will slide. I've made 4. I haven't put the ribbon on the other 2, but they will slide into the pockets of our folio. Okay. And you can kind of slide them off to the side. Okay. Like so. We're going to move our ribbon out of the way that we use to close it. You can slide one off to the side here. And let's grab the other one. And you can slide one off to the side here. And it would be easier if I took the ribbon out, but I want to be able to kind of show you the effect. And then you'll have, if you put all 6 tags, if you choose to only put 5 tags, once you tie it closed, like so with your little knot, We're going to do ours in the front again. So I'm going to pull the back a little longer. And then I'm just going to tie a knot like so. Okay. And you'll have your little ribbon hanging in the front here. And then you'll have your ribbons from your tags showing out the top, sort of like this one that we made for the birthday to go along with the birthday card. And if you want to, you can make that little birthday card in just the same way. Like I said, the base that goes on to the decorative piece that goes onto the card base, what is going on here, is created the same way that you create your folio front, with your piece across, your little decorative piece, and then you can add decorations to it, except you're just not going to round the corners. You're going to leave them straight, and you can create a Christmas card to go along with your little folio as a Christmas gift. And you can stuff it full of tags, and depending on who you're giving it to, you can write, I love you, have a Merry Christmas, you know, joy to the world, let it snow. You can add all of that stuff to your little tag, and it's something that the recipient can keep from year to year as a little gift in the same way that they would with the birthday one. Okay, and so here are two of the tags that I used the label that looks like the Dymo label letters, and I just have to add my ribbon to them and they'll be done too. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you stuck around for the whole thing. I did want to give you the dimensions for the specimen folio. Now for the specimen folio, the folder itself is the same size. Okay, the envelopes in that case, because we wanted our specimens to kind of tuck out the top, I made the envelopes a little bit shorter in compared to the Christmas folio, where I made the envelopes 4 3/4 inches high. For the for the specimen folio, I only made the envelopes 4 inches high. For the little pocket that was on the front, I used the remaining pieces. Once I had cut my envelopes, I had these little pieces remaining, and they ended up to be 2 1/4 inches high by 3.5 inches wide. I cut my papers, my decorative papers, to be exactly the same size as the envelope, and I glued these pieces together in the same way that I glued the larger ones together. And I just stuck it down to the front of my folio so that you had an extra place for the smaller specimen slides. But like I said, I chose to leave these without the pocket because I wanted to decorate both the front and the back of both of the Christmas folios. And I'll bring back the other one that I did without you. And that was this one, okay, which I used the same Christmas ribbon, tied it in a little knot in the front so it drapes down, okay, makes a pretty gift. And then I added some bling. I have those little raindrop, what do you call them, flatback beads that I used, and I glued those down to the front, and I put one here just for a little extra something. I haven't added them to this one. I might, but yeah, okay. I hope you guys enjoyed that, okay? I'm going to send you lots of love and big hugs, and ask you please to remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And I will be back again another day this week. I do have another Christmas craft planned. I have 2 more Christmas crafts planned, which I'm going to try, like I said, to get out to you later on this week. Okay, guys? Love, hugs, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Take care for now. Bye-bye.